Men's Health and Routine, a Personal View. Hello, my name is Kevin Stevenson, and I am an immediate support counselor with Health Assured. I'd like to share my experience, or should I say, relationship with routine in and throughout my life. This was a theme that I feel men in general might find challenging, particularly with the need for juggling the day to day challenges and obstacles to routine whilst maintaining a healthy lifestyle and work life balance. Of course, some of the themes in this presentation can affect anybody. The personal element of the content allows you to get a glimpse inside a personal male experience. Let's start with a statistic. According to one study, 44% of people that have a morning routine prepare the night before, and 63% of highly productive people set alarms the night before. According to another study, to zone in on the male experience, 43.39% of men say they never hit their snooze button, whereas the rest admit to hitting snooze at least one time. Routine is an important aspect of the human condition, and we tend to depend on them for managing our relationships with time and relationships in general. Routine can act as a sort of algorithm to ensure our health is maintained and any potential surprises or threats are kept at bay. Routine can help with dedication to exercise regimes, work schedules, relationship planning, and even sleep patterns. Routine can allow one's body and muscle memory to react more harmoniously with their overall well-being, and this can allow to provide better performance in work or even one's day-to-day. This makes it difficult to accept the fact that one's routine can break and how to deal with that. That stated, it can be important to break routine in order to recognize one's free will and need for human spontaneity. As mentioned, breaking routine can be difficult to accept at times, as self-criticism can often come into effect when our normality is shifted or changed. This can affect gains at the gym, our recommended 8 hours of sleep a night, having someone wait for us for a meetup, or even being late at a formal meeting. Of course, our relationships to routine can depend on our cultural heritage, as being late could be disrespectful in some cultures. However, in others, it could be taken as the norm. Recognizing our relationship to routine can be a task on its own, and keeping it in check, our self-critic as well, when routine changes, whether or not it's our fault or aren't for breaking the routine or not, is important for self-care. Sometimes getting more rest is important than getting more sweat. When cohabiting with someone else, for example, a partner or with flatmates, routine can often be dictated from these other persons, and this can make routine even more challenging to establish. In order to ensure routine is able to fit with our cohabitants, it is important to communicate the importance of your routine and schedule to these people in order to prevent any disruption to living harmony. Over the COVID-19 pandemic, there were increased levels of tension between neighbors, and this does not need to be cited from a statistical point of view, as we are sure everyone can agree with this. Communicating to neighbors the need for reasonable noise levels can be a difficult task, not only to maintain routine in many ways, but also to ensure that there are no disruptions to our everyday enjoyment of our living spaces. Promoting community meetings or attendance at these can be helpful for communicating the importance of challenging those who may disrespect the noise pollution they may emit. Whether we live in a flat, detached, or attached house, neighbor relations are essential to keeping up with respect for the community living arrangements and schedules. Men's sheds are also good examples of organizations that can promote routine for those in society who might lack the resources to ingrain a routine in their own lives. Some of us might need less structure and routine in our lives and can engage in independent learning to a greater extent than others. Some of us might be able to do distance learning, for example, and excel without much teacher intervention, while others might find such independence difficult to engage with. This can reflect some of us as having internal motivation that is quite beneficial to establishing routine, whereas some of us might require a more external motivational factor. We can also see this with those who might have the discipline to exercise at home on their own time or go running or biking without the need for a personal trainer to motivate them to do this. Those who might need external motivation could be said to be those who might need more routine implemented in their lives as a result of lacking the capacities to establish it self-sufficiently. How to develop internal motivation might be stated to be more difficult to inhibit in someone than having external motivation as a factor in promoting someone's routine. This could be a long-winded debate. However, the dependence one might have on external motivational factors should not be a sign of weakness, rather a sign that such people might have different personality traits, such as being more extroverted. Psychoeducationally speaking, however, it can be important for those who might need more external motivation to learn and do what they might learn from experts, for example, a personal trainer, and they can take this learning in their own time or when the training is completed and apply it in their everyday life. Allowing oneself to spread their wings and fly is something that should be considered one of the benefits of depending on others through routine. In sum, it can be seen that routine is not solely dependent on our own self-discipline and diligence, but rather requires keen awareness of our environment and others in our life. Respect for self and others is important to maintain to not only keep up with routine, but also to not let its breakage disrupt a healthy way of life. Just looking at the word routine, we can see that it can signify a route or a pathway to our day-to-day. Of course, over history and time, we have seen that our relationship with the seasons has culminated in days, weeks, months, and years, and our routines are often greatly affected by the climate and the amount of daylight we might see throughout the day. Incorporating days off, rest, and leisure time for enjoyment should be included in one's routine if it is to be balanced and healthy. After all, sometimes we cannot really know what our routine is until we have a break from it.